Welcome back to Rave Recap. Today I will show you a show secret fantasy film from 2019 named Superman. We should make a plunge, watch out and fare thee well. Sanji is a desolate, unfortunate content essayist with no work, no companions and dead guardians. His primary issue anyway is that he hasn't had the option to snooze over a portion of a year on the grounds that each time he does a jewel and in his fantasies and changes them into pilot bad dreams. This evening Sanju was dreaming about being in a subway in the Diamond of Rights. Conceded by the hand subsequent to making an opening on the floor puts his head through, killing him. He awakens just after his fantasy self Tai condemned to do some composition, yet his landowner not at his entryway center is presented to him some food. However, Senju get away from through the window since he doesn't have the right one. As he strolled the roads he recalls all the skill visited regarding the matter of dreams, clinicians, specialists, researchers, strict enthusiasts, and like they all have various hypotheses on what dreams doing to me, yet nothing substantial they could help him in any capacity. He stops at a food stand and requested a crepe with no eggs since that is everything that could be managed, yet the rivulet that has an egg in any case as a deregulation. While he trusts that his supper will be done, he needed the bistro across the road or whoever the young lady he has eyes for works. He met her years prior when he was hanging out at the bar for certain companions and she was out playing with her and her performing voice was delightful, and he has been thinking about her since that. Once Craig is prepared since it's down, really do appreciate. Yet he unexpectedly began by Sanji, his director, saying he begins taking off and Francis Crick motorway, yet he's excessively frail to go excessively far, and Sandy at last gets he takes them to an eatery. Laborer makes him need to see is chastening him for not regarding his agreement and not turning in a prearranged time. Senju attempted to make sense of his and Sammy. It doesn't permit him to focus and write, yet she doesn't tune in and requests for the sacred text be finished in 10 days. Subsequently she gets back to his condo just to find a ton and all the stuff in the entire manor his landowner has at last kicked in. Now he goes to a bistro to check whether he can get some running down there, yet he's too eager to even consider thinking and he winds up nodding off. The evil spirit shows up behind him then, at that point, put his change around saying his neck and begin hitting his head against the table. By and by said he gets up in the first part of the day just after his fantasy self-uncertainty and finds his PC has been taken, having lost his work 2 minutes, beginning to feel like you can't distinguish bad dreams from reality, saying you sent you a message letting him know he'll off himself and rejoin with his folks. He picks the top of the structure across a Wild Pony cafe and needed her as he ventures onto the edge prepared to hop, yet the carton been intruded on by offering a free for the man goes along with him on the rooftop, and keeping in mind that maxim that he enlightens him regarding individuals' various perspectives on death and dreams, and which is a straightforward end. While saying you was having these bad dreams he ought to advise himself and dreaming to have the option to receive and return quicker, saying he remains on the rooftop watching the water until dusk. Then he sells his mobile phone to get the means to purchase food. He goes to a corner shop, or he thought about taking a few things, yet adjusts his perspective when he sees has been washed. The food he buys has been outside the store. We're saying you were stunned to be unexpectedly moved toward by the water bill shows worry for this is unrealistic and send you put to this end. The water is truly the devil who starts pushing him against the glass. This to the store representative seems to be saying you was having some sort of fit of anxiety. The precious stone gets saying you, and as he cut him with a sword he's beginning to battle the jewel back and he can move objects around with his brain. He likewise begins bringing the carport its back like a red vehicle. In a little while who won the Curve Bistro is brimming with clients on the grounds that Samuelson Century to pay individuals in the city to come. He's additionally left a sack of cash for the container man is a thank you for the time she imparted a free feast to her after the shop closes, saying he takes a stroll with an in view of a couple of Walker words that utilization the sacred text, saying he starts to walk her home ordinarily after work, and one night he lets her drive a red vehicle from a stream which he tells us for such fortune blend. Her child is an exceptionally renowned content essayist who she passes during that time. Cindy recalls the day he met a large number of her, so he began crying after a battle. Sengyu starts to head back home regularly after work, and one night he lets her drive a red vehicle for the stream which he tells us for such fortune makes. Her child is an extremely renowned content essayist which she passes during that time. Sengyu recollects the day he met a large number of her, so he began crying after a battle with her ex, and he followed her to the motion pictures 2 or multiple times. saying he chooses to take her to the films and the press which will walk her with the exception of yet it likewise makes you wonder when I'll get to see a film hero no morning to be card a mass line send you compose a content seriously and gives it to Sandy 3 Barbie dreams since he waters guiding to him he longs for being sleeping with many duplicates of her so he compels himself to awaken before long just to find Sandy crying at how did the content as their arrangement starts then they offer the content to a trucking organization offering them their own cash to recruit the greatest stars and make a colossal accomplishment out that they even make a unique supper occasion to recognize and he accepts her as his in addition to one there's even a unique show due to his vocation which obviously is made up play with his rope numerous effective films yet he didn't assume praise for them since he needed to travel and see the world 2 or after 3 days during a fantasy send you find something exceptionally particular. There's the body of a vastly improved day and when he attempts to take his belt his hand to celebrate he doesn't surrender there so 16 handles back he attempts once more and she eliminated the belt from the book the man moved to contact his chest with 2 smoking fingers yet saying it doesn't look so stressed the typical jewel doesn't appear and the fortune in the mountains and welcome 2019 send a message with water to the rooftop or he nearly offs himself and shows her firecracker show he's arranged particularly for her when she contemplates whether he'll at any point vanish in a similar southern manner to show that he guarantees he won't ever learn after work go to her condo and watch you revive yourself in the restroom send your training as a potential admission anyway he ends up leaving in light of the fact that unexpectedly there is something hitting him on the chest and when he checks it in the mirror is accustomed to smoking dark lines on his skin. Once he comes to his place he overlooks the party said she is having with a lot of ladies and heads to sleep and she prepares to gather this evening's fortune yet saying you let him know it's excessive this time he's dozing about the fantasy causes him to show up in a tall void structure with a baffling figure holding up at the overhang send you draws nearer and finds it's a variant of his more seasoned self it is currently to celebrate when he awakens he finds he has another scar on his shoulder and more stars show available time past all the coordinating a spot with the precious stone had hurt him and past outings the next morning he goes to see the extraordinary man to check whether he has any more counsel yet when he's going to show up at its objective occasion shows up close to him and hijacks him when they at last eliminate the back from his head saying he found that an unwanted structure encompassed by a pack of hoodlums whose pioneer is Changji. Sangyu lets them know he will pay anything they desire subsequent to settling on 10 million. He calls Sangyu and requests that he bring the cash over when he shows up however. Changji's men take the money and same exercise center 2 who changes is to arrange not having some other decision saying you text the entire gather back to his condo with an oblivious brain what he shows them is living room with this multitude of jokes while transforming he attempts to cause him to admit how his go to this multitude of uncommon things somebody right at the structure to see him it's who are the secretary declares her Bible through the NFL source another dumpster not too far off to dispose of late for her own security perceiving how vexed they ensure the secretary tells you're saying yourself store actually open for reasons unknown and months prior off at any rate when she emerges from the lift one of the canines get her and take her to similar place where they keeping same changes begin utilizing her attempting to get under her skin by calling attention to child has been lying and this has gotten with disapproval from another of his man who figured they would simply come to get some cash as discipline for his tactlessness change put on some gold and knuckles and beat him up while she's tired of it starts to awaken when she goes to her that she kicked him justifiably and that is the opportunity that Sangyu takes to bounce in with the best holding him up first. She kicked him justifiably and that is the opportunity that Century message to hop in with a spot he uses to stir things up around town holding a down vocalist B without holding him and figures out how to escape yet not without getting stamped first them 3 take off while changing shoot them and he beat up yet it's difficult to go far was saying you can scarcely walk as a result of his worms the men find them on the steps and one of the supervisors simply am seeing you once more yet Century penances himself by remaining behind in this truck in the fans who Sangyu and who was just a single typical man isn't sufficient to conflict with 2 prepared part source energy is pounded into the ground one of the asset figures out how to catch Sangyu in the water higher up tidy them up and throwing them around without caring that is another status back with a knife both of them dropped and send you something winds up in a few puzzling vestiges shrouded in a dark substance that rapidly disappears when you begin moving. Subsequent to checking out, he contacts a blonde or curve and begins seeing a flashback of as like the most recent couple of months, including both reality and dreams and, surprisingly, a rendition of him that was taken by the emergency vehicle that evening outside the odds and ends shop. When that is over, he strolled to a transporter with the monster gem ball, which he begins hitting as he rehashed up dreaming again and again until he drops from blood misfortune out of nowhere. His body begins shipping and Senju winds up turning into the evil spirit with the cleaver that shows up in his grasp. He begins stirring things up around town, Divider envisioning himself as the devil in different discussions that generally occurred, yet getting them a contort as opposed to staying there tuning in, and his variants he envisions he hits his landowner and Sandy for not being pleasant again. When the Divider at last breaks, the jewel emerges and Sung utilize lounge or Sang-Yu's body is awakening to the precious stone, kills every one of the telephones decisively in any event, making a peculiar gun undertaking with Vital. Then he comes subsequent to Sang-Yu prepared to kill him too, yet he wonders and dreaming that every one of the elements brought from dream begin vanishing both in his loft and the rich individual's assortments. Senju falls oblivious once more, and when he awakens he ends up as far as possible back on the night outside an odds and ends shop. Whoever tracks down him and recalls sent from the show, so she feels P4. A man assumes into a position to get her some genuine food while he eats and noodle soup. She recounts to him she's perused an account of his in a magazine and thinks it was excellent. He simply needs a touch of work to make a forward leap and let them know the workplace until work at her bistro, which makes him stall and begin crying while it is uncovered that all the star has consistently realized he's been observing some time later while they're working at the bistro, who are giving you a gift, a pristine PC for him to ride after work, sending me to 100 years, and an eatery to give him back his cash since he kept by the script on request. He just needs to compose what he wishes to record on this. NG turns the cash he offers them more as a trade-off on the grounds that he's figured out how to sell one of Sang-Yu old contents. To observe, Sang-Yu is the one that will cover the bill numerous days after the fact. Presently contact with his life, Sang-Yu goes to see the drag man and request a food, so the man takes the risk to give him back his cash and shows him a panic in his stomach since he used to have a similar power too, and realized this modest life is ideal as Sang-Yu pays attention to his story, the demolished from his last dream, that you're behind it, and uncovered the new evil spirit killed that has been following him since he fixed the corner shop. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can see more of our videos like this. Thanks for watching.